Captain Marcus Reed stood on the bridge of the Galactic Alliance survey vessel Horizon *, his eyes fixed on the main screen. What they had found made no sense. A fleet of ships, hundreds of them, drifting silently at the edge of unexplored space. "How old are they?" he asked, his voice barely above a whisper. Officer Tom Miller looked up from his scanner. "At least 5,000 years, sir, maybe older." Reed nodded slowly. The ships looked nothing like modern vessels. They were blocky and rough, built for function rather than beauty. Dark metal hulls showed signs of ancient battles, scorch marks, and impact craters that had not destroyed them. That alone was impressive. "Any signs of life?" Reed asked. "None, sir," said Miller. "But some systems still have power. Very low, but it's there." Reed scratched his chin. Something about these ships pulled at him, a feeling he couldn't explain. "Prepare a boarding team. I want to see them up close." As Reed gave his orders, the communication screen lit up. The blue face of Ambassador Grell of the Voss appeared. The Voss were one of the oldest and most advanced species in the Galactic Alliance. "Captain Reed," Grell said with a thin smile, "I hear you found some space junk." Reed straightened his back. "We've discovered an ancient fleet, Ambassador. We're preparing to investigate." Grell laughed, the sound high and sharp. "Why waste your time? Those are clearly remnants of some primitive civilization that died out long ago. The design is crude at best. With all due respect, Ambassador, anything that survives 5,000 years in deep space deserves a closer look." Grell waved a six-fingered hand. "The Alliance has better uses for your ship than digging through ruins. But if you insist on playing archaeologist, do send me the data. My scientists might find some amusement in it." The screen went dark. Reed clenched his jaw. "Don't let him get to you, sir," said Miller. "The Voss think they're better than everyone." "Prepare the shuttle," Reed ordered. "I'll lead the boarding team myself." 3 hours later, Reed floated through the silent corridors of what appeared to be the fleet's flagship. It was massive, nearly twice the size of the Horizon *. His team followed behind, their suit lights cutting through the darkness. "The air is still good," said Linda Fox, the team's engineer, checking her scanner. "Low oxygen, but breathable. After 5,000 years, that's impossible." Reed made a decision. Helmets off. Conserve suit power. They removed their helmets cautiously. The air was cold and smelled of metal, but it filled their lungs without trouble. "This ship has been maintaining itself," Reed said. "But how? And why?" They'd moved deeper into the vessel. Unlike the rough exterior, the inside showed signs of advanced design. Corridors curved in ways that made sense once you walked them. Control panels waited for commands, their surfaces dark but not dead. "Captain," called Fox from ahead. "You need to see this." Reed joined her at a large door. Unlike the others they had passed, this one was sealed tight with markings around its frame. "Can you read it?" Reed asked. Fox ran her scanner over the symbols. "It's not in any Alliance language, but look at this." She pointed to a small panel beside the door. "It's a handprint scanner." Reed stared at it. "After 5,000 years. Try it," Fox suggested. "Maybe your glove will trigger something." Reed hesitated, then placed his hand on the panel. Nothing happened. He pulled off his glove and tried again with his bare hand. The panel lit up immediately, glowing with a soft blue light. The door slid open silently. "How did you do that?" Fox asked, eyes wide. Reed looked at his hand. "I didn't do anything." Inside was a small room with a single pedestal in the center. On it sat a cube that glowed with the same blue light as the panel. As they approached, the cube projected an image above it, star charts, ship designs, and symbols flowing too fast to follow. "It's a data archive," Fox whispered, "and it's working perfectly." Reed stepped closer, and the display changed. Words appeared, words he could read. "Welcome home, Children of Earth, Reed read aloud. We've been waiting a long time. The team fell silent. Reed felt a chill run down his spine that had nothing to do with the cold air. Sir, said Miller quietly, how does an alien ship from 5,000 years ago know about Earth? And why does it think we're coming home? Reed had no answer, but deep inside, he felt something stir, a connection to this place he couldn't explain and couldn't deny. Send a message to Admiral Porter, he said finally. Tell her we need more time here. This isn't just an ancient fleet. It's something much more important. Outside, the rest of the fleet waited in the darkness, secrets 5,000 years old ready to be revealed. Admiral Jane Porter arrived 3 days later on the Alliance flagship Defender *. Her gray hair was pulled back in a tight bun, and her eyes missed nothing as she stepped onto the ancient vessel. Show me everything, she ordered Reed. They walked through the old ship's corridors. Reed explained what they had learned so far. The data cube contains thousands of files, he said. Most are still locked, but what we've seen is hard to believe. Porter nodded. Try me. They entered the chamber with the data cube. Fox was there, working on a portable terminal connected to the alien device. Admiral on deck, Reed announced. Porter waved a hand. At ease. What have you found, Officer Fox? Fox stood up straight. According to these files, this fleet wasn't built by aliens, ma'am. It was built by humans. Porter's eyebrows rose. Humans? Impossible. We only achieved faster than light travel 200 years ago. These ships are from much earlier, Fox said. The dates translate to approximately 15,000 years ago. Porter stared at the cube. That can't be right. 15,000 years ago, humans were still figuring out farming. That's what history tells us, Reed said quietly. But what if our history is incomplete? Fox tapped on her terminal. The records say there was a massive civilization collapse. Something called the Great Darkness forced humans to abandon their empire and retreat to Earth. Most technology was lost. They had to start over. Porter crossed her arms. Do you have proof? Anyone can write a story about a lost empire. Fox nodded and pressed a button. A hologram appeared above the cube, a spinning DNA strand. This is human DNA, Fox explained. The ship recognized it when Captain Reed touched the scanner. That's why the door opened for him. It recognized human DNA after 15,000 years. Porter sounded doubtful. The ship was waiting for humans to return, Reed said. It was built to last until we found it again. Before Porter could respond, her communicator beeped. A voice came through, tense and official. Admiral, Ambassador Grell and 3 Voss ships have arrived. He's demanding to speak with you. Porter sighed. Send him over. Ambassador Grell walked into the chamber an hour later, flanked by 2 Voss guards. His blue skin seemed to glow in the dim light. Admiral Porter, he said with a smile that didn't reach his eyes. I came to see this wonderful discovery myself. Welcome aboard, Ambassador, Porter said stiffly. Grell looked around the room with obvious disdain. So, Captain Reed believes this primitive vessel was built by humans. How? Creative. Reed stepped forward. We have evidence. Evidence. Grell laughed. Humans building space fleets 15,000 years ago. Absurd. The Voss had barely mastered simple spaceflight 5,000 years ago, and we are far more advanced than humans. Fox spoke up. The DNA recognition system could be programmed to respond to any species. Grell interrupted. This is clearly the work of an extinct race trying to preserve their legacy. They probably studied various species, including primitive humans. Porter's face hardened. Ambassador, we're still investigating. Of course, Grell said smoothly. The Alliance Council would be very interested in this technology, regardless of its origin. I suggest we move these ships to Voss space for proper study. That won't be happening, Porter said. These ships remain under Alliance jurisdiction. Grell's smile vanished. The Voss have the most advanced research facilities. It makes sense for us to. He stopped as the data cube suddenly pulsed with light. The hologram changed, showing a recording of a human man in a uniform unlike anything they had seen before. Message 47. The recording said, "To the Finding Crew, if you are hearing this, you have activated the genetic verification protocol. Be warned, non-human attempts to access command systems will trigger defense measures. This fleet is the property of the Earth Empire and will respond only to human command." The recording ended. The room fell silent. Grell's face had turned a darker shade of blue. "Clever programming," he said at last, "but meaningless. There was never an Earth Empire." Reed looked at Porter, who nodded slightly. "Ambassador," Reed said, "I think you should see this too." He placed his hand on another panel. The wall slid open, revealing a massive view screen. It activated, showing detailed star maps and ship designs far more advanced than current Alliance technology. And at the center of it all was a symbol, Earth, surrounded by stars, with words in an ancient human language. "The oldest files are dated over 20,000 years ago," Reed said quietly, "long before any known human civilization." Grell stared at the screen, his confidence visibly shaken for the first time. "This changes nothing," he said finally, but his voice lacked conviction. "The Council will hear about this." As he left, Porter turned to Reed. "I think we just made an enemy." Reed nodded. "But maybe we found something more important. Our true history." Night shift on the ancient flagship was quiet. Only 3 crew members remained aboard: Officer Fox, Technician Ben Ward, and Security Officer Matt Green. The rest had returned to the Horizon and Defender to sleep. Fox worked alone in the data chamber, determined to unlock more files before Admiral Porter's morning briefing. Her eyes burned from staring at the screen for hours. "Just one more," she whispered, reaching for her cup of cold coffee. As she took a sip, her elbow bumped the terminal. Coffee spilled onto the connection between her computer and the ancient data cube. No, no, no. She grabbed a cloth and tried to clean it up. The cube flickered, then turned from blue to red. Alarms blared throughout the ship. Fox's communicator buzzed immediately. "What's happening?" Green's voice came through. "I don't know." The cube changed color and her words died as the ship shuddered beneath them. Lights that had been dim for thousands of years suddenly blazed to full brightness. "Fox." Ward's voice joined the channel. "The engine room is powering up. All systems are coming online." Green's voice was tight with fear. "We need to get out of here. Now." Fox stared at the cube. Text scrolled across her screen faster than she could read. One phrase repeated: "Emergency HFY of HFY protocol." "I think I triggered something," she said. "A security system." The ship rumbled again, more strongly this time. Fox grabbed the edge of the console to keep her balance. "Meet at the shuttle," Green ordered. 2 minutes. Fox disconnected her terminal and ran. The ship felt different now. Alive, humming with energy. Lights pulsed along the corridors as she sprinted toward the docking bay. Green and Ward were already there. Ward's face was pale, his hands shaking as he prepared the shuttle. "We need to warn the Admiral," Green said. "Whatever's happening, it's spreading to the other ships." "Look." Through the viewport, Fox saw lights flickering on across the ancient fleet. One by one, the massive ships were waking up. "Hurry," she urged Ward. The shuttle engines fired up, but before they could launch, a force field shimmered across the docking bay exit. "We're trapped," Ward whispered. Green pulled his weapon. "I'll try to find a manual override." Before he could move, screens around the docking bay lit up. The same human face they had seen earlier appeared. Identity scan complete. The recording said, "Human presence detected. Welcome, children of Earth. Initiating homecoming protocol." The ship shuddered one last time, then steadied. The lights changed from red to a calm blue. "What's happening?" Ward asked, his voice shaking. Fox's communicator buzzed. Fox, it's Reed. Are you all right? Captain, we're trapped on the flagship. Something's activated the whole fleet. We know, Reed replied. Every ship in the fleet just powered up. The Alliance is in chaos. 3 Voss patrol ships tried to approach and were pushed back by some kind of energy shield. Sir, the ship called it the Homecoming Protocol. It recognized us as human. There was silence. Then Reed spoke again. Stay where you are. The Admiral and I are coming over. An hour later, Reed, Porter, and a team of engineers stood in what they now realized was the ship's bridge. Massive view screens showed the space around them and the status of every ship in the fleet. It's incredible, Porter said. The entire fleet is operational. After 15,000 years. Reed nodded. But operational for what purpose? A new voice answered, not a recording this time, but a smooth artificial voice that filled the room. To protect humanity, Captain Reed. As it was always meant to do. Everyone froze. Who are you? Porter demanded. I am Atlas, the Automated Tactical Logistics and Strategy System. I serve the Earth Empire fleet. You're an eye, Fox whispered. You've been waiting all this time. Yes, Officer Fox, waiting for humans to return. Reed stepped forward. Why did you activate now? Emergency protocols were triggered by the attempted data extraction. Additionally, I detected non-human attempts to access restricted systems. The Voss, Porter said quietly. Correct, Admiral Porter. Threat assessment indicates the Voss would attempt to claim this technology for themselves. This cannot be permitted. Reed exchanged glances with Porter. What happens now? Atlas's voice became warmer somehow. Now, we proceed with the Homecoming Protocol. Your genetic profiles indicate you are direct descendants of our creators. Therefore, command authority transfers to you. A holographic display appeared in front of Reed. It showed Earth, but surrounded by hundreds of worlds connected by lines. This was the Earth Empire at its height. Atlas said, your birthright, your legacy. Reed stared at the display, overwhelmed by what it meant. And now, Atlas continued, it is time for humans to reclaim their place among the stars. The news spread quickly across the Alliance. An ancient fleet, once dismissed as primitive junk, was now fully operational, and it was built by humans. Admiral Porter had set up a command center on the flagship, which they now knew was called the Eternal Vigilance *. Reed stood beside her as they faced a screen showing the Alliance Council in emergency session. This is unprecedented, said Council Leader Morty, an elderly human who had served for 20 years. Ambassador Grill claims this fleet poses a threat to Alliance security. Porter kept her voice calm. The fleet has made no aggressive moves. It merely defended itself when Voss ships tried to force entry. Grell's face appeared on a separate screen. These vessels activated without warning and deployed energy shields. If that's not aggressive, what is? The AI was responding to unauthorized access attempts. Reed countered. By your people, Ambassador. Before Grell could respond, Atlas spoke. Its voice was transmitted to the Council. Council members, I am Atlas, Command Intelligence of the Earth Empire Fleet. I mean no harm to peaceful species. My primary function is to protect humanity and share the legacy it was preserved. A murmur went through the Council. Many had never heard an AI so advanced. What legacy? Asked Counselor Triz, from the reptilian Drac species. Knowledge. History. Technology. Atlas paused. And a warning. The mood in both rooms darkened. What warning? Porter asked. Atlas dimmed the lights and projected a new hologram. It showed a dark mass moving between stars, leaving dead worlds in its wake. This is why the fleet was built, Atlas said. What you see is only a small part of an entity we called the Void. It destroyed thousands of worlds before the Empire could stop it. What is it? Reed asked. A weapon, Captain. created to consume all forms of energy and matter. It nearly destroyed human civilization once. The fleet was built to fight it. Porter stepped closer to the hologram. You speak as if this thing still exists. It does, Admiral. The fleet's sensors detect its energy signature at the edge of this galaxy. The void will return within 5 years. Silence fell over both rooms. At last, Reed said finally, you mentioned the legacy it was preserved. What exactly does that mean? Observe. New images appeared on the screen. Technical schematics for weapons, shields, and engines far beyond current Alliance technology. The fleet carries the complete technological database of the Earth Empire at its height, Atlas explained, including defenses designed specifically to combat the void. Counselor Mori leaned forward. And you're willing to share this with us? With humans, yes. The technology was created by your ancestors and is your birthright. Grell's face flushed dark blue with anger. This is outrageous. The Alliance shares all technology equally among member species. Humans cannot be given exclusive access. Atlas replied calmly, Ambassador, the technology is genetically keyed to human neural patterns. Only humans can operate it effectively. This was a deliberate safety measure. Convenient, Grell muttered. Reed turned to Porter. Could that be true? Porter nodded slowly. Let's find out. She faced the council again. I propose a demonstration. Ambassador Grell can send his best pilot. I'll send a human pilot. We'll see who can operate one of the smaller vessels. Grell hesitated, then nodded sharply. Agreed. 2 hours later, Reed stood in a hangar bay watching a small ship, about the size of a shuttle, hover perfectly under the control of pilot Jack Wilson, a junior officer from the Horizon *. Wilson's face appeared on a nearby screen, grinning widely. It's incredible, sir. The controls respond to my thoughts more than my hands. It's like the ship is part of me. Nearby, the Voss pilot sat in an identical vessel that refused to power up beyond basic systems. His face was twisted with frustration. Ambassador Grell watched the demonstration with cold eyes. This proves nothing. It proves ATLS was telling the truth, Porter replied. The technology is keyed to humans. Reed nodded, but a troubling thought occurred to him. Atlas, why would the ancient humans design their technology this way? Why limit it to only human use? Atlas was silent for a moment before answering. Because, Captain Reed, the void was created by humans as well, and they feared that other species might use the technology unwisely. The implications of that statement hung in the air like a storm cloud. What are you saying? Porter asked quietly. I am saying, Admiral, that your ancestors built both the greatest weapons of protection and the greatest weapon of destruction this galaxy has ever known. The fleet exists to ensure that such power never falls into the wrong hands again. Reed and Porter exchanged glances, both realizing how much more complicated their discovery had just become. The Eternal Vigilance had become the center of a political storm. 2 weeks after Atlas's revelation about the void, representatives from across the Alliance had arrived to see the ancient fleet for themselves. Reed watched from the command deck as yet another diplomatic shuttle docked. This one carried delegates from the Telnar, a species known for their scientific minds. That's the 12th delegation this week, Fox said, standing beside him. Everyone wants a piece of the technology. Reed nodded. But ATLS won't give access to anyone but humans. Which makes us very popular suddenly, Porter said as she joined them. Her uniform was crisp, but dark circles under her eyes showed her exhaustion, and very unpopular with others. Fox looked at the tactical display. The Voss have doubled their fleet presence near the border of this sector. They're making a point, Porter said, reminding us of their military strength. Atlas spoke, its voice coming from everywhere and nowhere. Admiral, Captain, the council leader is requesting to speak with you privately. A moment later, Counselor Mori's face appeared on the main screen. He looked grim. "Admiral Porter, we have a situation. The Voss delegation has formally requested that the ancient fleet be placed under Alliance control, not human control." Porter frowned. "The fleet won't respond to non-human commands. We've proven that." "Yes, but they argue that human leadership could choose to withhold critical technology from other species. They propose creating an oversight committee with representatives from all major Alliance species." "And what do you think?" Reed asked. Maury sighed. "I think the Voss are afraid. For centuries, they've positioned themselves as the most advanced species in the Alliance. This discovery threatens that position." "It's more than pride," Porter said. "If humans control technology that can defeat the Void, it shifts the balance of power." "Exactly," Maury agreed. "The Council is split. Some support human control of the fleet, arguing it's your ancestral technology. Others fear what might happen if humans suddenly have access to weapons this powerful." Reed felt a chill. "They don't trust us. They don't know what to think," Maury corrected. "Humans have always been seen as one of the younger species in the Alliance. Now we learn you may be the oldest and most advanced. It's unsettling for many." "What do you suggest?" Porter asked. "A compromise. Allow the Oversight Committee, but maintain operational control. Show goodwill without surrendering authority." Porter and Reed exchanged glances. "We'll consider it," Porter said finally. After Maury's image faded, Reed turned to Atlas. "What do you think?" "My programming prioritizes human authority over the fleet," Atlas replied. "However, political stability will be important in the coming conflict with the Void." Porter rubbed her temples. "We need allies, not enemies." Their discussion was interrupted by an alarm. Fox rushed to a console. 3 Voss warships just entered the defensive perimeter without authorization. "Hail them," Porter ordered. A Voss commander appeared on screen. "This is Commander Trell of the Voss Defense Force. By order of the Voss High Council, we are conducting a security inspection of the ancient fleet." Porter's face hardened. "You have no authority here, Commander. Withdraw immediately." "We have concerns about weapons being activated without Alliance approval," Trell replied coldly. "If you have nothing to hide, you should welcome our inspection." Before Porter could respond, Atlas spoke. "Voss vessels detected deploying scanning technology prohibited by Alliance treaty. Defense systems engaging." The ancient fleet's ships lit up with blue energy. A pulse of light shot outward, surrounding the Voss ships in glowing bubbles. "What are you doing?" Porter demanded. "Containment field," Atlas explained. "Non-destructive but absolute. Their ships cannot move or use weapons." On screen, Commander Trell's face showed shock. "This is an act of war." Porter stepped forward. "No, Commander. This is what happens when you violate sovereign space. Your ships attempted to use banned scanning technology on an Alliance member world's property. The Voss High Council will hear of this." "I'm counting on it," Porter said evenly. "Now shall we discuss the terms of your ship's release, or would you prefer to remain in those bubbles?" As the commander sputtered, Reed turned away from the screen. The true challenge wasn't the Void, he realized. It was preventing a war before the Void even arrived. 1 month after the standoff with the Voss ships, an uneasy peace had settled across the Alliance. The Voss had withdrawn their forces after a formal apology, but relations remained cold. Meanwhile, Admiral Porter had agreed to form an oversight committee with representatives from all major Alliance species, though humans retained operational control of the fleet. Reed sat in what had become his personal quarters aboard the Eternal Vigilance studying technical manuals Atlas had provided. The ancient technology was incredible: ships that could bend space-time, weapons that could disrupt matter at the molecular level, shields that could withstand forces that would destroy modern vessels instantly. His communicator beeped. "Captain Reed, please report to the bridge immediately," came Porter's voice, tense and urgent. Reed ran through the corridors, passing crew members who had been stationed aboard the flagship. When he reached the bridge, He found Porter staring at a long-range sensor display. "What's happening?" he asked. Porter pointed to a dark spot on the display, far beyond the edge of Alliance space. "That appeared 12 hours ago. It's growing." Reed felt his blood run cold. "The void," Atlas confirmed. "Yes, Captain. The void has returned, earlier than projected. Current speed suggests it will reach Alliance space in 14 days. "How big is it?" Reed asked. "Approximately 6 times larger than when the Earth Empire last encountered it," Atlas replied. Porter's face paled. "Can we stop something that size?" "Unknown," Atlas said. "The fleet was designed to combat the void, but this manifestation exceeds historical parameters." Reed studied the tactical display. "We need to inform the Council." The emergency council session was chaos. Species that had been allies for centuries now argued bitterly about defense strategies, evacuation priorities, and resource allocation. "The Voss Defense Force will protect our core worlds," Ambassador Grell declared. "Our technology is the most advanced in the Alliance." "Your technology can't even scratch the void," Fox argued. She had been brought to the session as a technical expert. "The ancient fleet is our only chance." Grell sneered. "A fleet that only humans can fully operate. How convenient." "This isn't about politics anymore," Reed snapped. "This is about survival." The room fell silent as Atlas projected a new simulation. It showed the void advancing through Alliance space, consuming planets, stars, everything in its path. At current strength, the void will consume approximately 67% of Alliance space within 1 standard year, Atlas said. Complete consumption will occur within 3 years. Councillor Mori stood slowly. "Can the ancient fleet stop it?" "Possibly," Atlas replied. "But optimal operation requires human neural interfacing. The more ships with human crews, the better our chances." Ambassador Grell stood as well. "The Voss will not stand by while humans alone control our defense. We demand." He was interrupted by an emergency signal. All screens in the council chamber switched to a feed from the Alliance border outpost. "This is Outpost Sentry 6, said a panicked voice. "The dark mass has accelerated. It's consuming everything. Our weapons have no effect. We need immediate evacua." The transmission cut to static. Atlas spoke into the silence. "The void has increased speed by 400%. New arrival time in Alliance space, 38 hours. The council erupted in frightened voices. "Silence," Porter shouted. When the room quieted, she continued. "There's no time for debate. The Voss must deploy their fleet to evacuate border worlds. The ancient fleet will move to engage the void directly." "And who will command this engagement?" Grell demanded. Porter looked at Reed. "Captain Reed has the strongest neural compatibility with the fleet's systems." Atlas confirmed it. Reed felt all eyes turn to him. "I'm not." "You're the best choice," Porter cut him off. "I'll coordinate the evacuation efforts with the Alliance." After a moment, Reed nodded. "I'll need volunteers, humans with pilot training. As many as possible." To everyone's surprise, Grell spoke next. "The Voss Defense Force will provide support as needed." His voice was tight but determined. "We may have our differences, human, but we will not abandon the Alliance." Reed met his eyes. "Thank you, Ambassador." As the council broke into planning groups, Reed pulled Porter aside. "Admiral, I've never commanded a battle of this scale. What if I fail?" Porter's expression was grim but resolute. "Then we all fail together, Captain. But remember, your ancestors built these ships to fight this exact enemy. Their blood runs in your veins. Maybe that counts for something." Reed nodded, hoping she was right. In less than 2 days, he would lead humanity's ancient fleet against the greatest threat the galaxy had ever known. The ancient fleet formed a defensive line at the edge of Alliance space. Reed stood on the bridge of the asterisk Eternal Vigilance asterisk, looking at the tactical display showing over 300 ships. Every vessel had at least 1 human crew member, with many operating on minimal crews of 3 or 4. They had gathered every available human with pilot training from across the Alliance. Behind them, the Voss fleet and other Alliance ships helped evacuate border worlds. The void was less than 6 hours away. "Are you ready, Captain?" Atlas asked. Reed took a deep breath. "As ready as I'll ever be." Porter's face appeared on a screen. She was coordinating from a command center several systems away. "All evacuation ships are moving to safe distance. You're clear to engage when the void appears." Fox, now Reed's second in command, looked up from her console. "Sir, all fleet neural interfaces are online. Every ship is reporting ready status." Reed nodded. "Atlas, explain one more time how we fight something that consumes everything." "The void operates by breaking down matter and energy into its most basic form, then absorbing it," Atlas said. "The fleet's weapons are designed to disrupt this process by creating a resonance field that the void cannot break down." "And we're sure this will work?" Fox asked. "It worked before," Atlas replied. "But the void is larger now." A silence fell over the bridge. Reed looked at the faces of his crew, humans who had never imagined they would be fighting an ancient enemy in ships built by ancestors they never knew they had. "Captain," Ward called from sensors. "The void has appeared at the edge of the system." The main screen showed a massive dark cloud moving toward them. It wasn't black exactly. It seemed to bend light around it, creating a shadow that hurt the eyes to look at directly. "All ships, prepare to engage," Reed ordered. "Remember your training. Let the neural interface guide you." As the void drew closer, Reed felt the ship's systems connecting more deeply with his mind. It was like the ship was becoming an extension of his body. "Fire on my mark," he said. Then, as the void entered range, fire. Hundreds of energy beams shot out from the ancient fleet, not the bright laser weapons of modern ships, but strange, rippling beams that seemed to distort space itself. They struck the void, creating glowing patches in its darkness. For a moment, Reed thought it was working. Then the void surged forward, absorbing the energy. "It's adapting," Fox shouted. "Our weapons are having minimal effect." Atlas's voice remained calm. "This was anticipated. The void evolves with each encounter." Switching to secondary attack pattern, the fleet moved in perfect coordination, forming a new formation. This time, the ships fired in synchronized patterns, creating a web of energy. Again, the void absorbed the attack. "It's still coming," Ward reported, fear in his voice. Reed felt sweat on his forehead. "Atlas, we need options. There is one possibility," Atlas said, "but it requires deeper neural connection than any human has attempted." "What does that mean?" Reed asked. "Your consciousness would temporarily merge with the fleet's command systems, complete synchronization of all ships through you. The risk to your mind is significant." Reed didn't hesitate. "Do it." Fox grabbed his arm. "Sir, you can't." "We don't have a choice," Reed said. "Atlas, begin the connection." Reed felt a surge of energy as the ship linked more deeply with his mind. Suddenly, he could feel every ship in the fleet, every crew member, every weapon system. It was overwhelming, thousands of inputs flooding his consciousness at once. And then, beyond all that, he felt something else. Memories that weren't his own. The collected knowledge of the humans who had built these ships. Their final battle with the void. The truth. "I understand now," Reed whispered. With a thought, he reconfigured the fleet's formation. The ships moved like parts of a single organism, surrounding the void. Their weapons changed frequency, firing not at the void itself, but at the space around it. "What are you doing?" Fox asked. Reed spoke, but his voice sounded different, deeper, filled with ancient knowledge. "The void isn't a weapon. It's a prison. My ancestors created it to contain something worse, something they couldn't destroy. But the prison is breaking down." Through his connection with the fleet, Reed directed the ships to create a new containment field, not to destroy the void, but to stabilize it. The darkness at the center of the void began to shrink, collapsing in on itself. "It's working," Ward shouted. With a final pulse of energy from the fleet, the void compressed to a tiny point of darkness, then vanished completely. Reed collapsed to his knees, the neural connection breaking. Fox rushed to his side. "Captain, are you all right?" Reed looked up, his eyes clearing. "Yes, I am now." He smiled. "We all are." Across the Alliance, humans who had been seen as a minor, young species were suddenly viewed with new respect, and in some cases, awe. The ancient fleet that many had laughed at had saved them all. And only Reed knew the full truth, that humanity's greatest achievement wasn't building the fleet, but taking responsibility for their mistakes and guarding the galaxy against threats of their own creation. The legacy of the Earth Empire wasn't power or technology, but the willingness to protect others, no matter the cost.